Today, we wanted to focus on African-American and Latino participation in high-growth technology industries. Greg and Jonathan will get a lot more into this, but we all know that a lot of the experts are saying that these particular sectors will explode over the next 10 years and more. And the president and CEO of Nortec, who I met with, and we kind of dreamed up the idea of even doing this report, was kind of scratching her head saying, Randy, you know, on one hand, we're thrilled because we know that this is about to explode, and we think that 20 years down the road, we're going to look back and say, Northeast Ohio came back, and it had a lot to do with all these technology companies. But then she said, but I'm very concerned about the fact that when we look at who the entrepreneurs are, when we look at who the senior staff are that we want to recruit as potential entrepreneurs, when we look at who the angel investors are, when we look at, you know, the venture capitalists, nowhere do we see minorities in the mix. And it would be a shame for us to just carry forward and then look back and wish that we would have done things differently. We have to kind of figure this out now. And I said, we can help you with that. And that's really what led to Policy Bridge agreeing to write this report.
There were significant disparities in 4 critical areas: employment, entrepreneurship, engagement, and education. And although minorities make up 20% of the study region total population, African and Latino Americans who worked in those fields account for less than 10% of the workers in selected high-tech growth industries in Northeast Ohio. And if you think about and compare that, it's 16% in the nation. Also, African and Latino Americans also are only about 2% of all the businesses in the technology field throughout the region. And in the state, they're 4% in the nation. African and Latino Americans also face hurdles that hinder their entrepreneurial activity. And this is what we were alluding to earlier in our overview. They lack funding. They don't have the same access to funding. They lack entrepreneurial role models and technology industry networks. They find that it's very difficult to find people who will mentor them, who will role model for them, and they also have very difficult times connecting to the existing networks.
We need a new economic narrative among African and Latino Americans. A new economic narrative. Right? What do I mean by narrative? The dominant leadership and advocacy in these communities that informs the kind of business, economic, and education support services and opportunities available in these communities. Leadership, advocacy, services focused on and connected to the innovation economy or regional TBED or tech-based economic development are at best nascent and at worst they don't exist.